Hi guys, so if you're seeing this video, it's because I couldn't come to class, so I'm going to have to explain to you your presentations via this video, and I know that that's not ideal, but it's what I'm going to have to do to make sure that you understand what's expected of you and to give you some tips to succeed. So first of all, I posted the prompt on Canvas that you can see, and it not only goes over what's expected of you, but if you look, there's actually a rubric where I break down in very crucial detail exactly what's expected of you. So I would read that very carefully. Basically, what the presentation is I'm looking for a clear PowerPoint and that you guys can explain your proposal verbally in a way that makes sense. That you are not using the written text as a crutch. You understand your proposal well enough that you can explain it in a way that we can follow along with. And I'm looking for group cooperation, that it's clear that you guys prepared this together, that you were prepared to deliver it together, and that you, sorry, let me write a note down for myself to remember to say something, and that, you know, it works as a group. So what you don't want to have is where it looks like some group members knew their stuff, other group members didn't, or you guys didn't really talk to each other about who was going to talk about what. So some parts of the PowerPoint, not the PowerPoint, some parts of the presentation are just really repetitive because, you know, maybe one person's going over the budget and then another person goes over the budget again. You guys clearly didn't talk to each other, right? So I'm looking for evidence that you guys are professional, right? This is a professionalism class. You're delivering a professional presentation. And so you want to make sure it sounds professional. All right, the PowerPoint I went over in another video, but that needs to look professional too. And just like every other text we've done in this class, sometimes professional means boring. Professional means simple. Okay? What's important for you to remember is that we are there to hear your ideas. We are not there to watch a PowerPoint, okay? The PowerPoint is just to help us understand things because it's very hard to get lots of information verbally without some of it written down, right? So if you said something really fast and I didn't catch it, I can look over your shoulder and see it on the PowerPoint, but you should always be saying way more than what is on the PowerPoint, okay? So a couple of things about the structure. I talked about the group division. It needs to be fairly even. I don't want to see one group member doing most of the talking. I want you guys to think about what you're going to say and divide it fairly evenly. Also, you can basically have the structure of your proposal document. You don't need PowerPoint slides for the letter of transmittal, but you could have, start by explaining what the problem is, explain your solution sort of in overall, and then go over the budget and the timeline, whatever. So you can break it down that way in your PowerPoint slides. Importantly, you're going to want to do things like introduce each other, introduce yourself. You're going to have things that are called like my line, we say. So, for example, when you go to a grocery store, not a grocery store, a clothing store, let's say, and you walk in, you know what the attendant's going to say before they even say it, which is, can I help you? Or, do you need help with anything? And you know what you're going to say because you always say the same thing, something like, no, thank you, just looking, right? These are what we call my line. We do this all the time in society where people say things like almost robotically because they're just the things you say. And we don't notice them as much when people say them. We notice when people don't say them. And so with a presentation, it's very important that you say like, hi, I'm, happy to be here with you today. We're going to talk about this before you start your presentation, which is also called forecasting. You're telling us what you're going to do, why you're there, and so that we can follow along. You introduce group members. To you, that might feel robotic. To us, it feels like you're helping us follow along with the presentation, okay? So as far as structure, your plan is to get us to understand the proposal. So you will want to start with the problem and then understand your proposal. You're not going to give us as much detail for a lot of you as you did in the written document. However, you still want to give us enough detail that we can really, really follow along. So for example, with the budget in particular, sometimes you don't give us every single detail of how you came up with every single number. You are delivering this orally now, so there are some differences. The one thing you want to think about is, imagine that you were explaining this to like your mom or your best friend or whatever. You want to give us information that we can actually follow along with. And in the case, if you were really in a job presentation, it would probably be the case that some people knew what you were going to talk about and some people didn't. That is also the case here. I have read your proposal, and whoever peer reviewed your group read your proposal. The rest of the group of class has not. They have no idea what your proposal is. So you are delivering it in a way that they can understand, okay? And that is one of the keys to success here. A really good presentation would not be someone coming up to you afterwards and saying, "Oh, wow, I thought your PowerPoint was really cool," right? That doesn't mean anything. What you want people to say in real life is, "Whoa, I really like your idea," right? "I want to do your idea. I want us to implement this idea." So you want to be giving us a presentation where the focus is selling your idea and making us feel like we want to do that. It is not to be a comedian. It's not to be the most engaging speaker ever. That helps, but you can actually distract, if the comedian thing can actually distract us from hearing your idea. So what you're really focusing on is making sure we understand your idea and we want to do it. Okay? Now, when you give your presentation, you can have a note card. I do not want you to write out what you're going to say and print it several pages. I'm going to talk about that in a minute with the nervousness thing, but that will increase your nervousness. You can have a note card where if there's something you feel like, man, I got to remember that number and I don't know how I'm going to remember that number, write it on a note card if you need to and put it there. But there should be very little information on the note card, just things you're afraid you're going to forget, or maybe like you tell yourself, what slides come in what order on this note card or whatever. Just something to help you, but in no way should you be writing down your presentation, okay? You also should not be reading the PowerPoint. You should be saying way more information than what is on the PowerPoint behind you. The PowerPoint is only to help your listener. You are the main event, though. So you're talking, and you're talking us through the proposal. So it shouldn't be like you're turning to the PowerPoint and reading just what's on there and nothing more, okay? And also, we don't want the feeling that you're like surprised by what's on the next screen. You should feel like you have the PowerPoint could be there, could not be there. You could still give the same presentation. That is the feeling you want to create. That you know what you're talking about, you know what order you're talking about it in. The PowerPoint is just backup. And this is a real thing. In the real world, sometimes technology fails and you might have to give your presentation without a PowerPoint, even though you made a PowerPoint. It should feel like you could do this without the PowerPoint if you had to, okay? Also, with body language, you want to make sure that you're not turning your back on your audience constantly, crossing your arms, that kind of thing. Again, just imagine that you're talking to friends. You know a lot of the people in the class at this point, so just talk to us like you know us. We're not going to bite your head off. We're not going to like point and laugh. We all want each other to succeed. So you're just, relax. It's not that big a deal. And also in terms of the delivery, you do have to dress professionally, and it's important that you dress consistently with each other. Again, if you were a company coming in to propose something to me, I would want to feel like you guys had a conversation about it. So what I don't want to see is like one person in a bow tie and then another person in a polo shirt, right? And then another person, right? So you have to like actually be consistent. So yes, you do have to dress up. What that looks like for your group should be talked about with your group and decided by your group and equal. It shouldn't be like all of you thought, I've had where groups say like, everybody's going to wear, you do not have to do this, but some groups decide to color match. Everybody's going to wear black pants and a white shirt. Half of the group is wearing white t-shirts and half of the group is wearing white button-ups. That sends a very confusing message. So you do have to dress professionally and you have to show with your dress that your group prepared together. Okay? And the last thing I'm going to cover is nervousness. Okay? Everybody gets nervous. Every single person gets nervous. Anybody who says they don't get nervous is lying. Okay? What happens is that they are better at working through the nervousness until it goes away. some of us give up in the middle of the nervousness, so we never get to that point where we don't feel it so much anymore. But at the very, very beginning when you're talking, you are going to feel a little nervous. And some people feel a lot nervous. The thing is that we cannot see your nervousness. If you've ever recorded your voice and then heard it back to you, you're like, I don't sound like that. You do not sound in your head the way you sound to us. So if you are giving a presentation and in your ear you're hearing your voice shake, you're like, oh my God, it sounds like I'm going to cry. Maybe I am going to cry. I'm nervous. It doesn't sound that way to us. So it's important that you just fake confidence until that feeling fades. It's important to practice your presentation so that when you are working through that nervousness, you can be on autopilot a little bit because you know what you're supposed to say. You do not want to be delivering this for the first time ever to us, because when your brain is focusing on how nervous you are, there's not enough of it dedicated to getting you through the presentation. So you want to be on autopilot a little bit at the beginning so that you can work through the nervousness. The note card thing is important because when students print out everything they want to say, it will actually increase their nervousness because you kind of like go blind a little bit when you're that nervous. And now you can't find on the page what you were trying to find, and it can actually really, really, really backfire on you. So you should never have it all printed out. That will actually increase your nervousness. And it's a crutch. Just talk to us until you don't feel nervous. The other thing is memorizing. Do not memorize your presentation. In other words, don't print it out at home, memorize it at home, and then think, oh, just for the presentation, I'm not going to have the papers. That will go horrible because when you get nervous, if you accidentally miss something and then later you realize you missed it, students have like complete meltdowns. Like, oh my God, I did it out of order. What am I going to do now? Blah, blah, blah. Whereas if you're just talking to us and you forgot to say something and it comes back up later, you can just say like, oh, I forgot to mention. Let me go over this now, right? And that part of your brain that's panicking isn't usually as present. The other thing is if you mess up or if you just get so overwhelmingly nervous that you feel like your brain is like, you can actually stop and just say, I'm sorry, give me just a minute. And then collect your thoughts and then start again. If you try to push through that, you can get more nervous. So the key here is everybody knows what it feels like to be nervous when they're presenting. Everybody in the audience knows exactly what it feels like. So no one is looking at you and like, ha, he's nervous. If you take a minute to collect yourself, everybody in the audience is going to be like, that's cool, I get it, I'll wait. And then you go ahead and you give your presentation. So it's really important that you remember that we cannot see your nervousness. If you need to stop to collect yourself, that's totally okay. And number 3, just remember you're just talking to us. So if you get confused, you can say, hold on just a second. Let me look at this for a second, right? You don't have to pretend to be like absolutely perfect, okay? Now, in terms of channeling your nervous energy, movement is totally okay, but you don't want to fidget. So fidget, like snapping, like clapping. Guys will sometimes do this thing where they have like keys in their pocket and they keep jingling the keys and you're like slapping their thighs and it's like a very distracting. And you don't want to just move out of nervousness. However, one way that you can calm yourself when you're feeling nervous is to move. But ways that you can move is like, oh, I'm going to point something out on the PowerPoint behind me. Or, maybe I'm on this side of the classroom, so I'm kind of looking at these people, and I'll go over to this side of the classroom and look at these people. And you can move around the room, and that will help you channel some of your nervousness. And it's actually good to move a little bit, but you don't want to look like you are only moving because you are nervous. So, like that fidgeting, like doing things that are just like nervous tics. Move a little bit, talk to us, remember that we're all just there to be hearing each other's great ideas that you've been working on for so many weeks, and practicing giving a professional presentation. And the key is if you know your material and you focus on that material, you will do okay, right? We're even in a weird way, we're not even there to see you. We don't care. We want to hear your ideas. So it's not that serious. Just give us your ideas and give them to us in the clearest way you can. All right. I think that's about all the tips I have for nervousness. You don't want to say too many times, but if you need a second, you can say let me think. No, I think that was it. Okay. Also, just a few things that I wanted to say about the end of the presentation. When you end the presentation, you do have to have a conclusion slide and a reference slide, and you have to take questions. Other group members, while they're listening, they're going to write down questions. Members of other groups are going to write down questions and they'll ask you questions. Most of the time, the kinds of questions you get are just like, can you clarify this? I missed this when you went over it. And it gives you an opportunity to explain your proposal a little bit more. People are not looking for you to fail. They're just going to write down something they literally didn't catch the answer to, which is good practice for you with professional presentations, okay? Don't forget to smile and try to have as much fun as you can. If you have any questions about any part of this, just go ahead and email me. Oh, I just remembered one more thing. One more tip. Making eye contact. You're supposed to make eye contact, but that can actually backfire on people and make them more nervous because you like lock in on one person and you have a hard time like breaking the eye contact. Or you see their face, and their face, you start immediately thinking like, oh my God, I'm failing. Their face is, judging me or whatever. So one way to fake eye contact is actually focus on like sort of empty space between people's heads. Like when you look out in the audience, people are kind of like diagonally stacked from your point of view. But if you try to focus on that space between them, it looks like you're making eye contact with them, but you are actually able to like sort of focus internally on what you're trying to say without making eye contact. If you're more confident, please make eye contact. But if you know that that is going to freak you out, you do not have to make eye contact. You have to look like you're making eye contact. Just like you don't have to be confident, you just have to look like you're confident, okay? I'm sure you guys will do great, but if you have any questions, just email me, okay? Good luck, guys.